All right, I think I'm live on YouTube. I hope. um, it's not showing up in my Discord, which is interesting. Um, I guess I can check Twitch to see if it's streaming there. If anyone's watching this, I can't tell if anyone's watching. Yeah, I'm pulling them both up on my computer here. But hello, if you're watching. um, yeah, I'm super new to using this stuff, so it's not Twitch because Twitch says nothing's going on right now. Let me check my YouTube real quick. Yeah, I am super don't know. I can't tell what it's streaming to. I set it up so it should be streaming to YouTube right now, but I really can't tell at all until something comes up on something. Let me open my Discord. Normally, when I start streaming, my Discord notifies me, but when I set up OBS to YouTube, it did a weird thing where it wouldn't tell me where I'm streaming. Oh, okay, it says I'm live on YouTube on my computer, on my laptop. So 37 people watching. All right, cool. I have the chat pulled up here, so now I can see y'all. Okay, cool. I'm on YouTube. Hello, hello, people. Wow, 37 people. All right, so cool. So what I'm doing here is I wanted to make a video, and I did film the video. Actually, it took me like an hour and a half to film this video, but it was me talking about the top 25 records in my opinion of the decade. Um, and I just don't feel like editing it because it's like an hour long of me talking. And so what I'm gonna do instead is just a live stream me talking about top 25 records of the decade for me, because I think that's a lot cooler, and I can interact with y'all as yeah, I know the background thing is so trippy. Um, yeah, so when I was talking about the YouTube stream, I don't know if it's working because like what y'all are seeing on the stream is what I'm seeing on my computer, so I have to pull it up on my laptop in order to actually see what the stream looks like from a viewer's perspective. But now I have it open here, and I guess we can do this. Talking about the my top 25 records of the decade. So I just want to talk about the way I kind of did this list of 25 records because I could probably name off the top of my head 100 records that came out this decade that I think are just super super tight, that I really love, and that would take forever. And I spent like literally the last 3 months narrowing this list down to 25 records, and there's like a few rules I use to follow that. One is one of the rules is that there's no repeating records. So there are a lot of bands on this list that had multiple records that I think deserve the top 25 spot. But to keep it as diverse as possible, I did not repeat any bands. And the way I chose my favorite record off of that is basically solely off of like my personal connection with it, and how I really like the record myself. Hold on, I'm gonna make this bigger for right now. Ooh, oh yeah, this is my like terrible I like my Mac uh webcam. So sorry, I'm like stammering a lot too. There we go. Cool. It's not covering the whole thing, please. There we go. All right. Yeah, so one of the big rules was no repeating. Basically, a lot of this list is straight up like I'm already accepting the fact that these aren't even the best records these bands have put out. But they're just what resonated the best to me and what I enjoyed the best personally. So, what's it called? That's the rule number one. The rule number two is any record that has come out in like the last 4 months or so, I'm not putting on this list. And the list is organized by date because I can't really pick like a number one record. I'm just bad at that. I think the most recent, actually, I'm looking at the list right now. The most recent record that came out on this list is May 24th. And there were a few contenders that have come out like after that, but I don't know. For me, it was just hard to tell. If I really, really like the record, like thinking it deserves a spot on like the top 25 list, or if it was just a record that I'm listening to a lot now, and then in a few months I'm just not repeating as much and listening to as much. Which actually, some of the contenders that I made for the list, because I filmed the video a month ago, I'm not even listening to those records as much right now as a month ago when they came out in November. Which again is like no shade to those records whatsoever. It's just the way it is. All right, so let me start this. Let me start this thing. I'm just making sure all the records. Yep. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Oh, I also like figured out a way where I can like play music off of my computer and talk about these records. So that being said, let's go to. Oh my gosh! All right. So the first record on this list came out on January 26th, 2010. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at the comments right now. Um, would you mind explaining the different roles for ska? I don't know exactly what you mean by different roles of ska. Um, if you want to elaborate on that, I guess like I can answer questions in between talking about records. I feel like that'd be pretty cool because y'all are like engaging in this comment section. Um, and there's like 50 people watching now, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so the first record on this list is this incredibly corny record, but it came out in a time in which I was in high school, and it was like the first not ska music I was like listening to, and that is this. I'm not sad anymore. I'm just tired of this place. Where in the world would be okay? You let down your shoulder to lean on, so I could stand up straight. Oh yeah, it's the Wonder Years. All right. Let me know if it's too loud. Actually, hold on. Give me a second. All right, cool. So let me know if the music's too loud. The Wonder Years have been there for every age. Yes. All right, cool. So, yeah, I have a convoluted setup to do this. I have so many aux cables running everywhere to be able to play music off my computer and do this stream. I also just realized this isn't full screen. There we go. Yeah, so this record came out when I was in 10th grade. I actually got into the Wonder Years back when Get Stoked on It was their only record out at the time. And one of my friends who got me to like one of my first shows ever, they showed me the Wonder Years. And I remember that they were on tour with We Are the Union, I believe, that year. It was around 2010. And I never saw that show with We Are the Union and the Wonder Years. At the time, I was already listening to We Are the Union a lot and really liked Who We Are. And my friend was like, yeah, the trombone player recorded trombone on the new Wonder Years record. And I was like, trombone, is it ska? He was like, no, it's not ska. It just says like ukulele and trombone. So if you didn't know that, Matt Bellinger, the old trombone player for We Are the Union, before I joined, recorded the trombone on Hey Thanks on this record. So that was pretty cool. I like the music a bit louder like this. Yeah, so this is the first record on that list. The Upsides by the Wonder Years, released on January 26, 2010. Gosh, I can't believe this record is like 10 years old, and I'm like so sad that the Wonder Years have yet to announce a 10-year anniversary tour off this record, but I also feel like they hate this record, but also like I just want to see these songs live. What's my favorite song to play so far? Actually, I just finished a cover that I'm dropping in January, and honestly, it's probably one of my favorite covers I've done so far. I don't want to spoil what it is. Yeah, I don't want to spoil what it is, but I will say this: it's a very popular song on TikTok. So, how did I find Los Scagaleros? I found them through Facebook. They had that video on Facebook, and it spread. And yeah, I don't know how I would teach ska. The best way you can learn anything is just copying what you hear. So there's not like a book on like how to ska. You just got to do the thing. Let me know if the music's too low. Let me know if the music's too high. I don't know what this feed sounds like on y'all's end, by the way. I'm a new fan from TikTok, so that's exciting. Yes, thank you so much for following me after seeing my stuff on TikTok. My favorite ska band, I'll probably say, actually, one of my favorite ska bands is the next band on this list of top 25 records of the decade for me. And I might as well play their stuff after this song, so give me a second. I'm like really bad at picking favorites, so don't roast me for not ever picking one solid like favorite. But if I had to pick favorites, this would be one of them. Give me a second. Let me look up this song. This band formed in the 80s, and in my opinion is the best ska band just to ever exist. Do they not have that song on YouTube? I guess they don't. I'll play another one off of Spotify because I can do that. Come on. I'm like, I keep typing in their name. It's like, how are they not coming up right now? All right. So if you aren't hip to the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra, they are literally the best ska band ever made. And the second band on this list of 25 best records of the decade in chronological order, as in the order of which they released. Released on March 21st, 2012, Walkin' by the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. Alright, yeah, so this record is so good. If you have not listened to this record front to back, listen to it front to back and realize how much influence this band gives to Ska 2 Network. Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra is full of phenomenal musicians. Every song they write is just a bop. They push the boundaries of ska very well without ever going too far straight away from like the root rhythms that make ska what it is. And I really love how they do that. Like, every time any of them rip a solo, it's just, like, incredible. They're a band I have yet to see live, and I really want to see them live. They just kill it at everything they do. So the name is Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. Yeah, definitely check them out if you haven't. Also, if you check the description of, like, every video I do, I have a link to my ska inspiration playlist. And they're like one of the first bands on this playlist at all time because they're one of my biggest influences. So I remember hearing that you teach marching band. Does that mean you learn trumpet, trombone first? How do you go about learning all the instruments you played? Yeah, so trumpet was my first instrument. I started playing it in 6th grade when I was a band kid. And let's see. When did I learn trombone? I learned trombone in 10th grade, so it was like 2010, so like 10 years ago. I switched to trombone. I just pick up instruments and start learning how to play songs on them and stuff like that, and figuring stuff out. That's pretty much how I do it. Eventually, I'll post the Midwest emo full cover. If you're talking about the impression that I get thing, they sound like the Scotalites. Yeah, they definitely get a lot of influence from the Scotalites. And I mean, like, if I had to pick another band that's not Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra to say is the best ska band ever, it's the Scotalites, because they straight up, like, pioneered and created the genre. I mean, they obviously didn't do it alone. Like, there are other influences, but they're definitely a huge part of that. Did you go to the Streetlight shows or you're up north for the Tip the Van shows? No, I didn't. I didn't even know the Streetlight shows were happening, honestly, until I saw my friends at it. You need to shave. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, but also, I don't care, so. What else is there? Can you skank for us? I skank in like every video. I also don't feel like getting up right now. There's my skank. Yeah, let me know if the music's too high. Let me know if the music's too low. Basically, I have the two things up on screen right now, and whenever the music starts like peaking up to the yellow, it's my voice at the yellow and getting to the red right now. So whenever the music's peaking up to the yellow, I'm kind of just lowering it a little bit. But yeah, Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra, Walkin' is such a solid record. Solid musicians, solid everything. All right, so let's go to record number 3 on this list. If you are not hip to one of Washington, D.C.'s best ska bands ever, and just one of the best ska bands to be making music right now, you definitely need to get hip on Kill Lincoln, because on June 4th, 2013, they dropped their second LP, That's Cool, in a totally negative and destructive way. Yeah, Kill Lincoln's killing it. If you no pun intended. If you follow me on any social media, especially Twitter, you know that I am just always hyping this band up, and I'm hyping them up for a good reason, because they're an awesome band. Like, I don't know what else to say. Ooh, connection's getting a little fuzzy. But yeah, Kill Lincoln is an incredible band. The homies, incredible people. Mike from Kill Lincoln right now is running Bad Time Records, which is a new record label. I started about a year ago, I think a year and some change, and he's just been putting out like all of these incredible ska bands, like Madame Mosca, Catbite, obviously Kill Lincoln, Grey Matter just got signed, so many good ska bands that are working really hard in like the DIY punk realm, and Bad Time Records is just like compiling all of them and putting them out into the ether for us to listen. So definitely go support Bad Time Records and definitely listen to this record. It's Kill Lincoln's last full-length record, and they put out another like EP with some bonus stuff called what's it called? Gosh, I can't remember. No Good Riddance, I think I want to say, or let me look it up now. It's bothering me. It gives me something to believe. Good Riddance to Good Advice. That's what the record is. It's like an EP with some bonus stuff on it. But yeah, you can obviously support them on these streaming platforms. Also, go follow them on social media. Actually, find all of these bands and go follow them, because looking at this list, I think the only band that isn't active anymore on this list is coming up very soon. But yeah, all the bands on this list are pretty much active, bands and artists. Which is really cool that over all this time, all these bands are still making music. So definitely go follow them. Will we be seeing Scott 2 Network at Fest 20? Well, first we need Fest 19 to happen. In case you didn't know, all of the fests are always a year behind. So, but I mean, yeah, I'm stoked to be playing Fest. Any YouTubers you recommend? Insane in the Rain Music is like one of my favorite YouTubers that does music, does jazz covers of video game songs. Super dope. That's a good question. All the YouTubers I follow like talk. They don't like make music. They like just talk about things. Like this is one dude I follow called Atlas Pro, and if you're into like science and stuff like that, then he just talks about science relating to the Earth, and it's really cool. It goes like this. Sorry, this is such a good part of this song. I'm gonna make a playlist of all of these songs, by the way, and probably after this feed is over, I'm gonna post the link of like my top 25 records playlist to the comments of this. Caleb City's another YouTuber that I really like. His stuff is so funny. RDC World too. Pretty much anyone that like that RDC World, Caleb City, like Lenar Young, like if you know these YouTubers, you just know that they all do videos together and everything they do is so funny. Definitely check them out. Oh my goodness, I just got yeeted across the chat. I thought last year was Fest 19. Yeah, so Fest is always a year behind. The first Fest 1 was in 2002. So then Fest 2 was in 2003, Fest 3 was in 2004, etc., etc. So Fest 13, my first Fest, was in 2014, and so forth and so forth. Yeah, definitely check out Kill Lincoln. That's cool in a totally negative and destructive way. One of the best ska records to come out of the decade, honestly. All right. Let's move on to number 4 on this list. This band put out this record in 2013. Actually, the exact date was July 2nd, 2013. And they just haven't done much since then. They went on, I think, 2 tours. I saw them on one of the 2 tours. And yeah, You're Always on My Mind by A Great Big Pile of Leaves. This record is so good. It's like super like I don't know, like they played a lot of shows and did a lot with like a lot of math rock bands, but I wouldn't really call them like math rock. It's like definitely like super in the indie vein. But their music slaps. That's all I care about. This record's super chill, has like a really like mellow vibe. But like the songs aren't like slow. Like this is like one of like more mid-tempo songs. They have a few songs a little faster, a few songs a little slower. Yeah, definitely check out You're Always on My Mind by A Great Big Pile of Leaves. Yo, it's Mars. Hello, Mars. Have you ever heard Fatty Cakes and the Puff Pastries? A very good Riot Girl band. I have not heard them. I'll definitely have to check them out. British ska is pretty cool. I'm not like super into many British ska bands, but I mean like it's dope. Yo, it really is real mid. Yo, so like it's funny because like the first like 3 records on this list are like ska and like pop punk, and it's super like upbeat, and then like the list just goes completely like almost all emo for like the next 20 records that I'm about to list. So Have you ever thought of trying to get a ska show going in Nashville? Maybe. I mean, ideally, I would love to play everywhere, but that's just not feasible. Especially when, like, your band lives everywhere. So, like, we're planning shows next year, and definitely, like, we're doing weekenders and stuff like that. I don't want to release too much information about that, but, yeah, if it works out on the cards for me to pass through Nashville, I would definitely love to be passing through Nashville, as well as, like, everywhere else. But if you live somewhere really isolated, I'm sorry, but, like, I'm sorry. Can you explain the guy on stage during Kill Lincoln at Thanksgiving, who was just acting as a hype man? Yeah, so his name is Drew, and he's just, like, a homie of everyone, and he definitely is, like, part of the band. He just doesn't play anything. I mean, like, I think the Boss Tones have somebody who's just on stage too and just does nothing, but he's, like, there. It's not like an uncommon thing for bands, especially bands like the ska and like pop punk realm, to have like a person who's like part of like the crew and the clique. But yeah, definitely, if you've never seen Kill Lincoln anywhere outside of Thanksgiving, go to any of their shows, because they play a lot of shows in the Northeast because they're from DC. Go to any of their shows, and Drew is normally like in the pit, and it's, I don't know, he just generates so much hype. It's so sick. I love Drew so much. Everyone needs a hype man. There's nothing wrong with having a hype man. Love the set in Hamden. You impressed the shit out of me. Thank you so much. That was such a good show. It was so much fun. Connecticut really rolled out for that one, which is funny because I never thought that the first out-of-state Scouts We Network show would be in Connecticut, but the planets aligned for that to happen. So, opinion on Jared. I don't even know who that is, Chris. So I guess I have no opinion on it. All right, cool. So going on to number 5 of this list. It's definitely one of the outliers as far as all of these records go, but They Don't Have to Believe by Punch. So if anyone here listens to like hardcore or anything in that vein, you probably know the band Punch. This record is probably the record that got me into heavy music. Like if I had to make a pick of like records and bands that got me into like heavy music, Gouge Away is definitely one because they're from Florida. Punch, this record specifically, is another one of them. And Fear Everything by the Flaming Tsunamis, because ska core. And ska core was definitely the bridge that got me into just hardcore and heavier music in general. It's kind of ridiculous how incredibly tight this band is too. I never got to see them live. They broke up in 2015, I think, maybe 2016, and that was before I started traveling a lot, and they like just never came through Florida ever during the time of me knowing about their existence, which is really a shame because Punch is like a really good band, and I feel like that's just a band that's never going to get back together to even do like a reunion show. But Super Unison, the band that Megan, the singer of Punch, is now in, is also really, really dope. So definitely, if they're playing anywhere near you or anything like that, go support them. This is honestly a pretty long song considering like this record is full of songs that are under a minute long. But yeah, this was released on August 19th, 2014. And then this next record, which is, someone asked me one of my favorite ska bands. So I said Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra is one of my favorite ska bands. But if I had to pick another one, it has to be the Bruce Lee Band. And on this day of September 16th, 2014, Mike Park decided to collaborate with Jeff Rosenstock and put out literally one of the greatest ska records. Actually, the greatest third wave ska record ever written. Everything Will Be Alright, My Friend. And if you're sleeping on that, gotta wake up. Oh, did the feed freeze? Okay, no, it didn't freeze. Yeah, Everything Will Be Alright, My Friend by the Bruce Lee Band is such a phenomenal record. I think it's like just straight up the ideal, like whenever I have to describe third wave ska or show third wave ska and ska punk to people, this is the record that I will go to. I mean, like, obviously Mike Park is just like an incredible human being who's like the embodiment of like third wave ska. And if you're not hip to Mike Park, I don't know what you're doing. Like, obviously, like if you're like into ska and you're not hip to Mike Park or don't even know anything about Mike Park, like I don't know how you manage to like evade like such a staple person to like the ska scene in America. But Mike Park's an incredible person, incredible musician. The Bruce Lee Band's early stuff, I will say this, the Bruce Lee Band's early stuff is like cool. It's not like anything ridiculous, but this record, the EP before this record, and then the one they put out this year are all like mind-blowing. Like, oh my goodness, it's so good. Just everything is so catchy. It's like everything is like, there's not too many horns. That's a problem I found with a lot of ska bands, like way too many horns going on. The songs are never too long, they just hit just right, and like the lyrical content definitely grabs me too. Like, this song is literally about how like we're just watching the world get destroyed, and it's like we're letting greed and like corporations and like all of this stuff just destroy our planet, and it's like, yo, how are we gonna tell our children that we just let this stuff happen? Because it's true. Like, how are we just letting this stuff happen? How are we as a people not coming up and like being like, hey, let's not allow our world to get destroyed because of the system that we're in? And I think that's like really cool, and I definitely prefer music that talks about stuff like that over music that's just like, let's drink beer, which is like a lot of third wave, and it's like really, really nauseating hearing that, especially from someone who just doesn't drink. So yeah, Bruce Lee Band is incredible. Okay, sorry. It keeps like, I keep getting like the little like loading thing on my computer. So, any good places to eat in Gainesville? Yo, Gainesville has so many good places to eat. The Top is definitely such a banging place. Dick Mondell's is a really, really dope place that I feel like people are sleeping on. Reggae Shack, staple. Crane Ramen, I heard, is really good. I've had the ramen there once, but it was to go. They have like a vegan ramen, and it was really good. Daybreak Cafe. People sleep on Daybreak Cafe a lot. This means nothing to literally anyone who doesn't live in Gainesville. So I feel like no one here really lives in Gainesville watching this. But yeah, Daybreak Cafe is a really, really, really dope spot. What do you think of the present kind of a rebirth as classic rock? I've never heard of Black Coffee or Dirty Honey. So I have like, I guess, no opinion. Oh yeah, Karma Cream. How did I forget Karma Cream? Karma Cream is like my favorite place. What's it called? Yeah, I've never even heard much of like classic rock rebirth or bands like that happening right now. So sorry if I can't get through all these comments. The feed yeets me through, and when I go on tangents talking about things, I miss comments. Unfortunately, I feel like Nashville is a rough town for ska. I only ever got to see Rubik Fish play. It's mostly bands in the hardcore, deathcore. I mean, Nashville has a really, really, really poppin' DIY like emo scene. Like, y'all have Free Throw and Secret Stuff. And the thing about Ska 2 Network especially is Ska 2 Network fans love... Ska 2 Network fans are like, they love emo and they're really into that stuff. So I'm not really worried about Nashville being like a spot that's rough to play. Also, like, I don't know, there has to be a small enough venue that's just like, playing a 100 cap room is like totally fine. You don't have to play huge venues, and I feel like bands always make that mistake where like they're like, we have to play in 1,000 cap venue in every city, and it's like, no, like if you can't move 1,000 tickets in New York, you don't need to play a city that has a much smaller market for you and have it be a 1,000 cap room. But I guess bands love being like, we have to play big rooms. It's like, listen, if the money allows me to play someone's backyard, I'll play someone's backyard. Like, don't have to play huge venues all the time. But I mean, if bands like to lose money just to have the aesthetic of playing big venues, then let them do that, okay? Are you into NoFX and or Goldfinger? Goldfinger's cool. I mean, if you didn't see the thing, I played with Goldfinger at Thanksgiving. And also Reed, the guitarist for my band, We Are the Union, plays in Goldfinger. But NoFX. Are you into NoFX? Honestly, not really. One, I never got into NoFX when I was like younger and getting into punk music. But also the fact that Fat Mike just says all of this really, really dumb stuff on stage. I just can't get behind them. And people are always like, it's satire, it's irony. It's like, no. Satire causes you to think about the thing in which the person is making fun of. When Fat Mike like wraps a towel around his head and makes a bad Muslim accent and then says, "I'm surprised no Muslims didn't shoot me for saying that," that's not satire, because NoFX fans aren't sitting there like, "Oh yeah, there's like this racism going against like Islamophobia is real." Like, they're just laughing because he's making fun of Muslim people. That's not satire. And I don't know, that's just one example of many things. Or like being at Warped Tour and then commenting on 13-year-old girls and like saying sexual things about them. That's a thing that NoFX used to always do on Warped Tour, and people like I don't know, that's just disgusting. I can't get behind that. And I can't get behind people who make music if the person making the music is like whack like that. So I don't know, that's just my opinion though. I know people don't care about that stuff, but I definitely do. Alright, next band on this list. Released this record on November 14th, 2014. Yeah, I'm making sure I didn't skip a band. November 14th, 2014. Let me pull up this one. If you have not listened, so if you like Weezer and you wish Weezer kept sounding like old Weezer, but also shred really hard and had a lot of like modern emo influences mixed into that, then I highly recommend you check out Roswell Kid, because in 2014 they dropped Too Shabby, which is such an iconic record. It is so good. Yeah, Roswell Kid slaps. I mean, like, every time I'm listening to their music, I just want to do this. Real rock and roll hours. Also, my head now hurts from doing that. Yeah. Roswell Kid. What I like about this record too is, in like a lot of the DIY punk world, especially in the time of the mid 2000s, everyone was just trying to be super serious, which is like totally fine. You could definitely be super serious with your music, and it's just nice having music you can relate to, especially if you have a lot of like emotions about things, and a lot of bands were doing that. But Roswell Kid kind of came out of nowhere because, one, during this time a lot of emo especially was very much like riffy guitar music, like stuff like that. And then I don't know, they just kind of came with this like really fuzzy riff, like more like focusing on like power chord riffy type emo rather than like the twinkly, that's the word I was looking for, like that twinkly noodly like Midwest emo sound. And Roswell Kid just came in and completely changed the game, I think, at least for the time, of how people are approaching writing emo music. And also they're just super fun, and they have like a song off their last record, Precious Art, about boogers, like straight up. It's just funny. And I think they definitely changed the idea of like, all music has to be super serious, especially in like that emo world. And can't really think of any bands at the time that were doing that were popular in that scene. So yeah, this record is super good. Every song has an incredible hook. If you're sleeping on Roswell Kid, much like the rest of this list, you definitely need to stop doing that. Any advice on getting into DIY? Just moved to a state with a way better DIY scene, but I feel like it's hard getting in without knowing a lot of people in the scene. But not entirely true. I think DIY is really cool. I mean, I guess it depends on like the scene itself for sure. But I mean, obviously you can utilize tools like Twitter, like just start following people that live near you. I feel like I've met a lot of people in DIY through Twitter, through like Facebook groups and stuff like that. Again, it all depends on where you're at too. But definitely, I guess, find bigger shows that are going around you and see the opening bands. Like, a lot of bigger shows will have opening bands play, typically local bands, and then have to go up to the merch table and be like, hey, I love your band. Like, do y'all play shows regularly around? And obviously, every touring show doesn't have an opening band, but a lot of them do. I feel like that's the best way to get into like your local scene, because like the majority of people who go to those bigger shows, like, they don't care about anything but the bigger band that they're seeing, which is like fine, I guess. But there's so much talent and like at like the local level that just goes over the radar, because like people act like they don't want to listen to a band unless they're big. That's such a weird concept to me, because I just listen to music that's good. And yeah, so definitely that's a good way you can get into local music. That and the internet, between those two things. Any opinion on Kevin Lyman trying to revive Warped Tour? Not really. I mean, I don't know. Warped Tour is just like there. I don't really care for it that much. Especially as like, I don't know. I feel like Warped Tour we're just not in a economy or a time in which Warped Tour is like really like prevalent. It's just expensive for bands to do Warped Tour, and I don't know, the way it's marketed is kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Warped Tour to me is just so indifferent, and like I'm surprised it went as long as it did doing what it was doing. Can you do a ska cover of Doom? Is that like a song by a band, or is that a band? I mean, I feel like there has to be a band called Doom, but did you go to music school, and what was your experience like? Yes, I did. So I went to Santa Fe College, and I went to Broward College, getting my AA, and I took lessons there with people to then transfer to an actual like university to do music. And Scott 2 Network started doing incredibly well, in which I never went to the university because I was like, I could put all my time towards going to music school and turn down all of these fantastic opportunities that I have right now, and then I can get my degree in music and then not know connections or networking and then not do anything with my degree like most of my music school friends did, or I can just go for it now and make the connections and do all of that stuff and not go to school. And I chose the second option, and here I am, making a living off of music alone. So I think I made the better option in that choice, at least. If I ever want to go back for whatever reason, I can just go back. That's the thing. You don't always have to go to school immediately. And people act like you really have to. And I think a lot of people don't know themselves when they go to school. And by the time they get out of school, they kind of figure themselves out. But also, like, they waste so much time that's, like, prime in their youth that they could have been, like, learning about themselves and exploring and learning and meeting new people. Because all of the successful people that I know, honestly, did not go down the conventional go to school and then get a job, like, path that people really know. So yeah, anyway, music school is pretty cool. I learned a lot of cool things taking lessons. I really enjoyed it. Some of it was kind of tedious, that I had to put so much time into things I didn't care about, but a lot of it also did help me with like things like dictation and like singing and stuff like that. And you know, the most annoying thing about music school is talking to people who are like music majors and they're very elitist. I mean, like, people being elitist about anything in general is really annoying, but music students are like, you don't study jazz, or like, you don't study classical. Like, yeah, I don't. Like, I mean, I could play both, but like, I'm not trying to be like the greatest at either. It's like, I just like making music that I like making. And it's very like, if you don't want to do jazz or classical, it's very hard being a music major. And that's like a very like annoying thing about music school in general. And how people act like if you're not perfect, you suck. And it's like, I don't know, it's such a weird, dumb, like, way of thinking. And it really squashes people who are creative and want to do things outside of that box. And it's like, if you're not going to an art school for music, then it just sucks for you, you know? And it's a real big bummer that, you know, the music school and school in general is just like that. So that's a big thing that really bugged me about music school. But not every music school is like that. That's the thing, too. There are a lot of music schools out there that are very supportive of what you want to do. So obviously it's not just like one size fits all for that type of stuff. But it's definitely a thing that I've seen a lot. Favorite instrument to play out of all the ones you play? Either trombone or bass. I really love playing bass. For my first band, I played bass, which is really cool. And I miss playing bass in a band, so hopefully I can do something soon. Thought on the Menzingers. Also, you on Mastodon? I don't even know what Mastodon is, so I guess I'm not on it or into it or whatever it is. And the Menzingers are cool. They put out like songs. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty indifferent on the Menzingers. They have some songs that are like bops. I feel like if I saw them live, I would definitely get a much more vibe. For me, when I see bands live, I really get into them. And even though they've played like every single fest except for last fest, I've never been able to see them because there's always been a band that I want to see more than them playing at the same time. So, what do you do for a living? Yeah, I mean, you're literally looking at what I do for a living. I run Scott 2 Network. I mean, I teach marching band, but that's seasonal. So, like, it's only between, like, you know, marching band season. And that's, like, not really much compared to what I'm doing, like, through YouTube and, like, commissions and freelancing as a musician and like playing shows and gigs and stuff like that. So all my income comes from like everything related to Scott 2 Network or commissions and gigs and stuff like that. As someone who went to music school, I feel like it was a waste for the most part. I grew most by playing on my own and meeting people. Yeah, and that's the thing. Music school doesn't set you up to be successful in that regard a lot of the time. Like, yeah, you can learn how to prepare for a jury, but you're literally never going to be in a situation in which you're practicing music for months to then perform like for 3 minutes. Unless you're wanting to become a classical musician, in which if that's the case, you want to play in an orchestra, good luck competing with those people who play in those orchestras, because they've been playing in those orchestras for decades, and it's like, you're not going to be able to get their spot over them. So like, I don't know, the music school like world is so broken and twisted and terrible, and since it's a lot of old people, a lot of them are also very homophobic and stuff like that, and it's just so like nauseating in a lot of ways. It's really broken. I've actually had ideas of starting a podcast talking about like DIY punks in the classical world and vice versa, and I have so many thoughts I could talk about this. Trust me. Have you ever heard of the Buttertones? They fuse ska and surf rock. I have not heard of them, actually. I played baritone in concert and trombone and jazz. Yeah, originally I was studying euphonium and baritone, and I got into USF School of Music, but not the school, on euphonium, and then I switched to trombone because I was like, wait, there's actually money in trombone and not euphonium. So, but euphonium is probably one of my tightest instruments, and I love playing euphonium. I just wish it was a practical instrument to play. All right, next band, or I should say artist on this list, released the record that kind of changed my whole perception on pop music. And if you know, you know. This record came out on June 24th, 2015, and is definitely, in my opinion, the pop record of the decade. Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah, so I remember being in high school, and my whole mentality was like, I hate pop music. I'm an edgy alternative kid. I never want to deal with pop music. You like pop music? That's so weird. I know this band that you don't know about. I was like very much kind of like that kid, and looking back at it, I'm like, wow, those types of people are so nauseating. Because pop music is just good. Like, hearing Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen, like that whole record is just, I don't know, it was starting to pull a lot of like 80s influence, especially with like the snare being super reverby and like a lot of synth driven like melodies. Carly Rae Jepsen, what a queen. I do agree. Carly Rae Jepsen literally is my queen. Just like, I don't know, it just really like changed my perception. I was like, wait a minute, pop music is just really good, and I shouldn't be like this conceited person who thinks I'm cool because I like alternative music, and therefore, because I like alternative music, I can't like pop. Like, I don't know, that's just whack. Like, it's just so good. Oh my goodness. Sorry. The 1975 is dope. Super, super good. Definitely, like, I remember listening to them in high school too. Like, because they've been putting out music for a while, and like, I didn't listen to them a lot, but I definitely listened to them a little bit. So I love all music. My single favorite band in the world is Fall Out Boy. The same time, an undying love for death metal, like Whitechapel, Life Ruiner. Are there any metal / ska covers? I don't know about metal ska covers, but you could definitely check out like the Flaming Tsunamis or like a Billy and Ernie's. A lot of ska core mixes a lot of different types of heavy music with ska, and it's all really, really dope. Yo, Charlie XCX is so good. Oh my goodness. So me and Reed's the guitarist from We Are the Union. We just talk about how much we both love pop music so much, and Reed really got me on Charlie XCX. Like, oh my goodness, I feel like people 2 years from now are going to realize how great her music is, and right now I feel like she's at this level where like she's obviously very successful and doing a lot of big things, but people don't talk about her a lot. They mostly just talk about the song she did with Lizzo from what I've seen. But yeah, definitely the record that she put out this year is like icing on the cake. So good. I want to see you do a crossover. Crossover of what? Oh gosh. Excuse me. Am I in the future? Here we are in the future. No, I mean, like, my stream is delayed because that's just how streaming works. It's delayed by like 15 seconds. So I guess I'm like 15 seconds in the future of what y'all seeing. Or y'all are seeing me 15 seconds from the past, but y'all are also in the past, which makes it You know what? I'm done talking about this. Alright, so as this song starts finishing up, I'm going to talk about, let's see, we are currently 8 records, or I guess 8 songs into this this list, which is really interesting because it's 25 records that have come out over this decade that I really love. My personal top 25, and yet number 9 on this list is in 2016, which means the back half of the decade either 1 had a lot of tight music come out, which is totally true, or 2, I just didn't listen to as much music on as far as quantity in the early half of the decade as I did in the later half, which is probably also true because I listen to so much music now versus, you know, like when I was in high school and stuff like that. Because there's so many, like most of this list honestly are records that came out in 2018 and 19, and then the third most year is 2017. So anyway, this next record came out on April 1st, 2016, and it is Out of the Garden by Tancred. So if you have not listened to Tancred, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's honestly such a really, really good project. I believe the singer's name is Jess. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know. Yes, so I do have a Spotify playlist of all of this stuff. I'm going to be posting it in the comments to this after the feed. Actually, I'm on Spotify right now. I can just post it right now into the feed. But I have to edit it because the original playlist... Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to put it up the way it is. Because originally it was... Yeah, it was top 25 of the decade with honorable mentions. And this was basically like all of the records that I thought of when I first thought about doing this video. So let me just copy that link wait, hold on. I just realized I'm on 2 separate computers. Give me a second. I can't multitask or think. Just listen to the music while I'm doing this. All right. Yeah, so anyway, like I was saying before, I don't even remember what I was saying before, but Tancred really slaps. I believe the singer's name is Jess. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember saying that. Yeah, it's just super like riffy, almost sounds like 90s alternative rock. Every song is so catchy. You got me into Free Throw. Heck yeah, I believe These Days Are Gone is on that list of honorable mentions. Definitely should be. Anyway, yeah, Tancred slaps. Super vibes really hard. Ooh, number 10 on this list. Another artist that kind of changed my perception on music. Yeah, so like around 2015 or 16, I was really into music being super serious. I was like, I don't want to listen to music that's like a joke, blah 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 blah. And then I realized being a super serious person is not a cool personality trait, regardless how much people want to believe being super serious is a cool personality trait. But anyway, a band specifically, I don't know if you call them a band or a musical group, but anyway, specifically this record by this artist really changed my perception on that, because if you know anything about this artist, you know that their music is just, I'll just play it. I don't even know how else to pronounce or to say this.
What's that? Wanna go back to sleep?
Yeah, so Kero Bonito put out in 2016, specifically on, because I have the date right here, October 21st, 2016, they put out Bonito Generation. And since then, they've really changed their sound. Their sound now is like definitely more in like the rock vein. And then their early stuff, literally, I think every sound on their first record, Intro Bonito, was all sampled from like NES cartridges. Or not NES cartridges, Nintendo 64 cartridges, sorry. But yeah, Sarah Bonito, the singer, she's half Japanese, half half Japanese, half English from the UK. And she has this project where it's like super chiptune-y, like sampling a lot of like video game sounds, but also mixing that with like pop music and now most recent stuff like indie rock, indie pop, stuff like that. And it's just really, really good. To answer your question, these aren't suggestions. This is a video of me just talking about, in my opinion, the top 25 records to come out over the decade. And this is number 10 on that list. And these are all listed in chronological order for anyone who's just joining in. So I had a video where I talked about all of these, and I was like, I just didn't want to edit it. So I was like, I'm just gonna make a live stream. It'll go up on my channel, and it will be up for anyone who wants to like listen through and hear me answer questions and stuff like that. Plus, I'm really pressed on time right now. I just don't have the time to edit an hour-long video. Because me talking about 25 records, and even if I spent 1 minute on each record, that's still a 30-minute video right there, if you count me talking about the intro and what it's about. And some of those records I did talk about for like 5 minutes. So I was like, this is so long, I might as well just live stream it, make it a little more interesting. Literally, you're like, this is a meme song and I love it. Literally, this whole record is just like, I don't know, it's so like good. The way I love that Kero Bonito is like not a serious band at all. They definitely have like their songs where you listen and you're like, this is just straight up like not even like it's like just a joke, but it's also just like really good and catchy and fun. And I think that's like a big takeaway that this record had for me, was like, this music is just so much fun and it's so catchy, and just definitely completely changed my perception on how I listen to music, because I used to always be like, I need to listen to a song that talks about how sad I am, and like listening to this song that's reminding me of this pain that I went through, and it's like, I don't know, I just don't care about that stuff anymore. Like, I'd rather just listen to music that makes me happy. So I'm gonna have to go to a bit serious and tell you that I don't really care about your version of the impression that I get. Cool, thanks. I recently found your channel and I'm loving the stuff you've been doing. You've been getting a lot more into ska recently. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. Yes, if you did not know, on the description of every video that I make, I have a link to a ska playlist of like all the ska that inspires me, as well as underrated ska songs that people probably don't know. So if you're looking for more ska, definitely check out that playlist. A lot of ska playlists just like highlight the same bands, and it's really annoying that like no one's talking about all of these new bands that are really good and all of these like underrated bands, you know, that aren't the same legendary bands. So if you want a playlist that isn't just hitting the same exact bands as every other ska playlist on Spotify does, check out the one that's in the description of all of my videos. I don't know you, but that sounds fresh. Gosh, I love this record so much. I need to give this record a listen. I haven't listened to this record in a while. Number 11 on this list. All right, so when I was making this list, I tried to do it in an order that's like least favorite of the 25 to most favorite, but I really am bad at picking favorites, and I always love music for different versions, like different things for different reasons especially. So like, I am not good at picking favorites, but if I had to make a number 1 for this list, this record will probably go on it or be a contender for number 1. It definitely top 5, for sure. Like, no doubt about it, this would be in top 5. And it is Verse by Really From. So this band, the trumpet player of this band, actually has been playing trumpet for Ska 2 Network live shows for the past, like, pretty much all year, because we only played 2 shows this year. Yeah. Anyway, this band is called Really From. They used to go by People Like You, and they're just an awesome band, and I think they're incredibly underrated. Like, right now they have under 1,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which is just 1,000,000% criminal, because they are so tight and also incredible people. They all went to Berklee School of Music for different reasons, and they basically mix together like indie rock with like emo and jazz. So they're like a super jazzy indie rock band. Every piece of this band is so good. Like, the drums slap, the piano is really, really good. The last record was Bonito Generation by Kero Bonito. And then this is Verse by Really From. But yeah, no, this record is so good. It's really pretty, it's beautiful. Michi, the singer, her voice is like angelic. Also, they're all like just homies of mine. Like, I first saw them, I went to I went to Broken World Fest and the Broken World Fest 2 in Pittsburgh in 2016, and I saw them playing. Like, I remember walking into the room of this like DIY emo punk festival thinking like, oh, let me go check out whatever band is playing, and I walk into like this trumpet solo, and I was like, there's a trumpet player here playing this ridiculously good solo, and then it just went into like this drum groove, which is actually like one of the tracks on this record that they ended up recording later. And I don't know, it's just so good. Definitely one of the best records put out. I wish more people were talking about this band. They are so important and so good. Go listen to Really From. This record's called Verse. If you have not listened to them yet, I'm assuming you most of y'all haven't, because they have such little monthly listeners right now. They also have been inactive. Like, they were inactive. They put out a record. They went on like a tour. They haven't done much. But they're writing right now, and they have a lot of plans coming up, which is really cool, because I believe they were supposed to break up, and then they didn't break up, and now they're on Top Shelf Records, which is really cool. It's really awesome. Really From is so underrated. I randomly watched their Little Elephant session pre-verse, and I was blown away. I want them to blow up so bad. They deserve it so badly. People need to listen to Really From. They really need to support that band. And before the top 5 is all Death Grips. Oh my goodness. The fourth wave of ska is a reality with people such as bringing to lead it. Don't get me started on a rant about how I don't believe in waves and how fourth wave isn't real. Because ska's always been big. Like, ska didn't die. People just stopped paying attention to it. And I don't know. I feel like the ska scene especially is really bad at this, because they're always waiting. They're always waiting for someone to be like, this is the new ska that's big and popular, listen to it. And it's like, if everyone who wanted a fourth wave just went listening and supporting all of these bands that have been doing stuff, we would be fine. Like, all the ska bands would be successful enough to keep touring and keep putting out music. So waves don't exist. Don't wait for it to be big to support it. Just support it because it's here and you like it. And yeah. I am in Gainesville, but I'm not really looking to start a band right now. I mean, I have my own project that I'm working on, but I already have all the members and everything, like, working for that, and I just don't have time to, like, really plan anything else. I mean, I barely have time to do what I'm doing right now. Love all your stuff. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move on to the next. Oh god, that song is so good. This record is so good. Let's move on to the next band on this list. The 12th record on this list, which doesn't mean anything because it's listed in order in which it was released, was released on August 9th, 2017. And this band is actually homies of mine. They're from Florida. They're called Woolbright, and they released Busybody Lazy Bones, which is such a phenomenal record, such an underrated band. I'm going to play this song. I don't even know how to, like, describe their music. It's like, I just say it's like indie rock, emo, but, like, they all have such a diverse mix of, like, influences, like a lot of jazz influence, like stuff like Robert Glasper, like Hiatus Coyote, and then they have, like, influences from stuff like Tancred and Tangled Hair, if you know that band. It kind of reminds me of that too. And Town Portal is another band I know that they're, like, really influenced by. It's like a mix of all of these different, like, influences that just mesh together so perfectly. And I know they're recording and writing right now for their second LP, but this record is so phenomenal. So definitely go check it out. Again, they're called Woolbright, and Busybody Lazy Bones is also, if you watch my Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas Is You cover, Candace, who sang on that, she's the singer of this band, and this is, like, her project that she started. So, what time is it? Right now it is 6:28 p.m. As much as I meme about ska being the thought when you get extra mozzarella sticks, I genuinely enjoy ska. Heck yeah. That meme, oh my goodness. I get that meme sent to me so much, Especially, it's like the later someone sends me that meme, the more likely that they're just really far removed from like the internet and like memes and stuff like that. So like I'm starting to get it from people that I like went to high school with. They're like, look at this meme, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen that meme like a million times. Right now it's the like goth, emo, punks, how they all view the world, and then like ska people view the world but have a Trump. Yeah, I've had that meme sent to me like 50 times this weekend. Oh my goodness. I've never heard the Stone Roses. Candace's voice is so beautiful. I'm so happy that I was able to like do that cover with her. Also, like everyone in this band is just my homies. I was actually jamming with them the other night. The next Skatsu Network show is going to be at MagFest, and that's going to be literally in like a week. So yeah, listen to the specials. I feel like everyone listens to the specials if you're into ska at some point or another. Number 13 on this list. Oh my goodness. All right, so I really don't know how to pronounce the title of this record, and I've never heard anyone say it before. So forgive me, Deanna, if you ever see this, or anyone who's watching this. But Rambiathan by Sincere Engineer. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not entirely sure. But if you haven't listened to Sincere Engineer, so yeah, Sincere Engineer. Sorry, I just got a text. Someone found something that belonged to me. Actually, it was the singer of Woolbright. Just texted me as I was talking about. So I was like, Candace, are you watching the stream? But no. Anyway. Oh yeah, Sincere Engineer. Sincere Engineer is incredible. This band I found out through Fest, because Fest just has a lot of good bands play every year. When I started listening to this, I think it was like a Fest playlist, and this song came up, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like really good. And I really like how Deanna's voice is like kind of like raspy, and like, I don't know, it's just like really good. It's really catchy. If you haven't figured it out by me at this point, I just really like music that's like catchy and has good hooks. Like I know a lot of people really like, they like things like jazz and like prog rock and all this stuff, and like I love all that stuff too, but to me, for music that I listen to like on average, I just want songs that have good hooks and are really catchy. So that's also why I like pop music so much. What am I supposed to do now when you're still not around? Yo, so T on the High Dive. The High Dive is a really terrible venue. Don't go support that place. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but also like, yeah, the High Dive. You can like talk to Dikembe, and they can tell you more about the High Dive. Not paying them money, even though they like played a show, and Dikembe then couldn't pay a touring band because the owner of the High Dive straight like. Okay, so the story is something like this. There's probably some more details I'm missing, but Dikembe booked a show at the High Dive years ago, and you know, obviously how shows work, the touring band is on tour, you book the show, and High Dive was like, oh, we don't have enough money to pay you, even though they had a bunch of people at the show, and they had a door deal worked out, and people were buying drinks all night, and the High Dive's like, I don't have enough money to pay you. And so then they said they were going to pay him later, and time was passing, so Randy had to end up paying the bands out of pocket, I believe out of his own money, and they kept putting it off, like, we'll pay you eventually. And then one day, Randy, I think, was like, you know what, I don't care. Walked into High Dive, and then people were like, yo, you can't go up there, that's employees only. And Randy's like, I don't care. And walked into the office, and the way Randy described it, it was a desk that was full of money as if it was out of a movie, and the owner of the High Dive was just counting stacks of cash, looked at him, and Randy was like, so are you gonna pay me the hundreds of dollars you owe me for this show? And then the owner of High Dive was like, I can give you $40. So Randy took the $40 and then just took the L on the show. So that being said, between that and when there was an actual convicted rapist playing at the High Dive, and then people were saying, hey, why are you letting a rapist play at your venue? And then the High Dive responded with, we don't care if this person's a rapist, we're gonna let him play here. Fuck the High Dive. There's literally like 10 venues in Gainesville worth playing, and people love supporting the High Dive, and it's like, literally, okay, High Dive's the worst sounding venue in Gainesville. It sounds like utter trash. The people who work there, for the most part, are kind of all terrible people. I also used to work for 5 Star Pizza, which is the same building and owned by the same person, and everything the owner ever said while I was working has always been complete trash. So yeah, fuck the High Dive. Sorry, there's my obligatory fuck the High Dive rant. What was I saying? Yeah, there's a million other venues. Actually, a little confidential information. I'm working on a Florida run of shows for Scott's Network, and we are playing at the Civic Media Center, which, if there's a place you need to support in Gainesville, it is the Civic Media Center. That place is incredible. They do shows all the time. If you're a touring band and you're coming through, please don't make the mistake of playing High Dive and have nobody go to your show, because everyone in Gainesville literally will not go to the High Dive for anything. You could play at the Civic Media Center, which is where I'll definitely be playing, because it's like the coolest spot in Gainesville. There's Lucy's, which is really cool. There's the Atlantic. There's the Woolly. There's so many venues in Gainesville. People literally choose the High Dive. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot with that one. Anyway, that's the end of my rant about the High Dive. Yeah, Sincere Engineer though, they slap. The only time I'll really be at the High Dive is if it's at Fest, because it's a Fest venue. But then my money's not going directly towards the High Dive. Sorry, I'm trying to pull back up this list of bands, or a list of records that have come out this year. Number 14 on this list, which is my favorite band from Down Under, Nate. If you have not listened to Camp Cope, they are real rock and rollers, and Georgia Mack is like such a incredible and cool human being. And in 2018, they put out the record How to Socialize and Make Friends. Yeah, How to Socialize and Make Friends on March 2nd, 2018. And this record is so good. I just like listening to ska covers. I don't even know about band gigs. Well, you should know about band gigs. I don't know, it's super important. Like, especially coming from someone where, like, yeah, I make ska covers, but everything I do outside of that musically is like playing in bands and touring and being in this community. And it's RIP 1982, honestly. God, I miss that place. But what's it called? Yeah, it's super, like, it's just a super, like, cool world, and it's definitely a huge part of, like, me and what I do and who I am, so I'm not gonna, like, not talk about it. Like, ska covers, like, what do I even talk about? Like, how do I talk about ska covers on a live stream? I mean, I guess I can talk about them, but, like, whatever. I just realized you are Florida-based. Yes, I am Florida-based, 100%. More like the High Dive. That's so good. I'm gonna start saying that. Thank you for that. Oh gosh. Yeah, so anyway, this record, How to Socialize and Make Friends by Camp Cope, is such an incredible record. And Camp Cope, if you're not hip to that band at all, you definitely should be. They're killing it right now in Australia, and every time they come to the States, they kill it out here. It's just so good. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe how much I love this record. It's definitely been on my rotation. I think it's one of my most played records on Spotify too. Like, I did the of all time thing, and this record definitely came up in that. Also, Georgia Mack is just powerful as heck. Like, I don't even know how else to describe that. Just go follow Georgia on social media and follow Camp Cope and support them. I love how Camp Cope is also just not afraid to call out, like, bullshit in the music scene, or in the music community, or in the music industry. Because, like, I mean, Camp Cope is one. I mean, this song is literally about that, but Camp Cope is like 100% managed by themselves, and I don't know, bands always act like they need managers and stuff like that, and you kind of really don't like need managers, especially when managers and people are like, this isn't every manager obviously, but a lot of the times they exploit bands and take money out of them, and they'll discourage smaller bands from doing things on their own because they're like, if you don't book through our booking agency, if you don't tour because of us, if you don't do this and that because of us, you'll never make it as a band. And I definitely know Camp Cope was a victim of that because they made music about it, and I've talked to Georgia about it. But they played the, what is it called, like the Sydney Opera Hall, whatever, I don't even know the name of it, the Sydney Opera House. They like performed there, and they did everything as a self-managed band. So it's like, yeah, Camp Cope's just an incredible band, and incredible everything. Also, high-key, what got me into ska was your Megalovania cover, so thanks for the intro to amazing music. Heck yeah, thanks for checking out the channel and checking out the music. There's a Melbourne ska orchestra. That's all movie soundtrack covers. Oh yeah, isn't it literally like the Melbourne Ska Orchestra? Weren't they like trying to be the biggest ska band ever? Yeah, that band slaps. Super good. Yeah, Nana Grizzle is dope. But I do not know, what was it? Tash Sultana? I'm not good at pronouncing things, so hopefully I didn't butcher that. Hopefully that person's never watching. Sorry, this song is a bop. Ooh, we're getting on number 15 of this list. 10 more records on this list, and most of those records came out in 2018 and 2019. Actually, yeah, the Camp Cope one's the first one on this list that came out in 2018 and 2019. So 12 records out of the 25 on this list came out in the last 2 years. Sorry, I just zoned out. So I just got into this band like about a year ago, and this band has just completely taken over how much, like, they were my second most played band of 2019 according to my Spotify analytics. This record came out last year, specifically on May 11th, 2018. And also, last time they came through, they were on tour with PUP, and I played trombone with them, and I also know Sarah. Sarah's a dope human being. I feel like at this point, if you know the band, you know it's Illuminati Hotties. Yeah, if you haven't listened to Kiss Your Frenemies, one of the best records of the decade. Can't change my mind on that one. I also really love, one, the fact that their name is Illuminati Hotties, and two, the fact that they just mix together this like kind of surfy indie rock. They like the surfy sound with this indie rock sound, and three, they're another band that's not like trying to be super super serious all the time, and I really love that. Like, they put out a song called "Keep Your Dog." I Want to Keep Your Dog. That's a single that they just put out a few months ago, and I really like that because like it's literally a song about like cutting things off with somebody and not wanting that person in your life, but you miss their pet, so you want to keep their dog. And it's like, if that was explained out of context, it would sound like you're talking about a ska band. I feel like that's something a ska band would do, but they're not a ska band, even though they like playing ska. And when I saw them live, they changed the last 3 songs of theirs. Like, Sarah just started playing upstrokes, and it was like pretty dope, and everyone was kind of confused, but I love that. But yeah, Illuminati Hotties is dope. This record is super influential, especially to like my writing lately. I don't have anything else to say about that. Illuminati Hotties just slaps. Also, I believe there's a music video to this song that's just like Sarah like longboarding, and like all of this stuff is happening. There's like little animations on screen, and it's really dope. So definitely go check that out and go listen to this record. Yeah, I have a Spotify playlist. I linked it up earlier in the chat. I'm also going to link it at the end of this live stream as I'm done talking about my top 25 records of the decade, because, oh boy, there's so much good music. It was really hard making this list, honestly. There's so many records I wanted to include, I ended up not including. Next band on this list. This band is from Chicago, and super, super cool people, super, super awesome band. This is also one of my most played records on Spotify of this year. This record came out on May 25th, 2018, and I actually did a cover of this song, so I'll play the original. Somewhat literate by Retirement Party. I almost said by Sincere Engineer, because I was thinking Chicago, because both those bands are from Chicago. So first off, this song is just straight up a pop. Second off, I really, again, like I've been saying throughout this entire thread, I'm really here for the hooks. Give me the hooks. The hooks, SpongeBob. If a song has a good hook, if it's like catchy, I just love it. I mean, like, listen to this little lick. It's just straight up one of the best guitar like riffs I've heard in such a long time when I first heard it. And this whole record is just full of like really, really solid riffs and like vocal melodies. Just everything about it is super, super solid. Feels almost like a musical, like it has like a lot of like a musical journey almost, like listening to this record. Like there's like the slow songs are like right in between where the fast songs should be. I don't know, it's just, gosh, like listening to this record, it's one of those records I just can't listen to any other way but front to back. Like every time I like want to listen to this band, I don't just put on one song. I typically like start on the first song on this record and listen all the way through. So if you're not hip to Retirement Party, definitely missing out on what I think is going to be one of the bigger upcoming bands in like that emo vein, especially because they're recording another record right now, and if it's going to be anything like this first record, it's just going to completely dominate everything. They're one of the bands I always talk about. I say there's some bands out there that are like one very solid second record and one very solid support tour away from becoming the next big thing. And I think this is one of those bands. Like if they put out their second record and it's as tight, if not tighter than this record, and if they get on a tour with a band like, I don't know, PUP, like Retirement Party is gonna explode. So this song is Shoulder It by Retirement Party. Just a drunk Gainesville guy drinking at Swamp Head Brewery. I don't even know where that is. I feel like I know where that is, but I'm not sure. Is that in downtown? Let me tell you that I'm thankful for it every day. It may be over now, but to help us. Hey dude, Vegan Cookup's here. Cool to see you again. Just got my Midwest emo band to recommend. Got any Midwest emo bands to recommend us in the style of your Boss Tones cover? I mean, yeah, there's like totally a lot of them. One I've been vibing with a lot right now is Origami Angel. They just put out a record called Somewhere City, which was a contender for this list, but I made the rule that like anything that came out in the last 4 months is not going to be on this list. But yeah, definitely check out Somewhere City by Origami Angel. That record is like, just listen to it. You'll know exactly what I mean. And pretty much any record that I want to list that's like in that vein will probably be like related artists of Origami Angel on Spotify. Also, Max Seal is another band that was going to be on this list, but again, I didn't want to put any records that came out in the last, I don't know, how long, 4 months on the list. But Max Seal is another band that definitely fits that like vibe. Have you heard any Midwest emo like at all? Because if you haven't, I would definitely say like, I don't know, like the Promise Ring, but the Promise Ring doesn't sound exactly like that. It's like American Football and Cap'n Jazz, like stuff like that. I don't really listen to Cap'n Jazz that much. I'm just looking at lists of bands on Spotify right now. Snowing, oh my goodness, yes, Snowing is very much in that vein too. Everyone, Everywhere, excuse me. At Mike Who made the playlist? I made the playlist. I mean, if you're talking about the playlist of the songs, then I made the playlist. Yo, that new Maxio record is like unreal. It's so good. All right, let's move on to the next band on this list of great records to come out during this decade. And if you have not listened to these records, oh my goodness, Homies. Okay. So this record, which is number 17 on this list of 25, came out on July 13th, 2018. And that is Music to Practice Safe Sex To by Pool Kids. This is another Midwest emo band in that vein that you should check out. Since we were talking about it, they're from Florida. They're from Tallahassee, Florida, and they're the Homies. And they've been killing it lately. Like, they're going on tour with the Wonder Years next year. Who else is on that tour? I know it's like the Wonder Years. I feel like it's another. I can't remember anyone on that tour. I need to check it. I need to check now. It's gonna bother me. Alright, Instagram, you just showed me. Okay, here we go. The Wonder Years, Free Throw, Spanish Love Songs, and Pool Kids. So, and shows are already selling out. So, definitely get your tickets to that if they're coming anywhere near you. Because I think it's like a full US. That's what it looks like. And if you're going to go, definitely show up early for Pool Kids because they're opening the show. This is another one of those bands that I'm like, they're going to put out a second record that's really tight, and then they're going to dominate the entire world. And also, if you saw my cover of Misery Business by Paramore, Christine, the singer of Pool Kids, also sang that cover. So I'm going to link the playlist at the end of this just because I don't want to have to like open everything up again. And I've copied other things on my laptop since then. You can also scroll back up in the chat until you find it, but I'm just gonna link it at the end in the comments of this video. Or I can just link it right now. Hold on, give me a second. Then there's also more bands and like records on this playlist than just this, what I'm listing, because it's like also honorable mentions. But and I think some records also that I am listing aren't on this because this is the original draft of this list of records that I made before I did the final thing. Yeah, it's at 31 songs, so there's definitely at least 6 records that didn't make it to the end of this that got voted off the island. No, they're all incredible records. Except for there's a few at the top of this list, and by the few, I mean literally one I'm looking at right now that I totally 100% put on just because of like nostalgia reasons. And like I was like listening through the record when I was making this list, and I was like, this record just doesn't do it for me anymore. And that's Color Me in Kindness by Basement. It's definitely, when I listen to it, it's just 100% nostalgia for me. But I just fell off that like Basement trend. There's not many bands that I used to listen to a lot that I fell off of, but Basement was one of them. Are you excited for whatever Streetlight is teasing for in 2020? Yeah. I kind of fell off the Streetlight train too. Like, I mean, I still listen to them sometimes. And I'm pretty sure new Streetlight music will be definitely super dope, but I just don't listen to them that much anymore. Yeah, Pool Kids. Literally, every time I play Pool Kids for people, they're like, this band is incredible. And it's like, why isn't everyone talking about Pool Kids? If everyone who listens to Pool Kids just told 2 people to listen to them, and then those 2 people were told to tell 2 people to listen to them, everything will be fine. If everyone in music did that, everything would be great. Streetlight is always teasing something. You're not wrong. I can't wait to hear that new Streetlight Manifesto record in 2028. Which will come first? The Streetlight Manifesto's next record, or the entire Earth going into global catastrophe because the system in which we live and operate in this country is literally going to kill us all and the environment. Stay tuned, folks. All right. The next band on this list. Sorry, Caden the drummer is so good. Actually, I might as well say it now. If anyone's watching the feed, you'll know I'm going to record a full version of the Midwest emo cover of The Impression That I Get. and Caden, the drummer of Cool Kids, is going to play drums on it. So that's going to be super exciting. Ooh, this record is so good. All right, changing the vibe of all of the stuff that I'm listing. This next record is so good. Room 25 by Noname. If you don't know about Noname, Noname is a rapper who's been killing it for quite a few years now. She put out, I think, 2 records and also like various singles and stuff like that. And I've always listened to hip hop, especially like old stuff. Like I used to listen to so much hip hop and stuff like that, and I still do. But not a lot of hip hop has like catched my attention at the level where I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm just like listening to it nonstop. When I heard Room 25, that completely like just changed the game for me, and I love this record so much. Noname's flow is like disgusting. It's so good, and I don't know. It's just like she's one of those rappers that I need to like pull out a dictionary and be like, all right, let's decipher what I'm listening to, because your brain is too big for me to process this. For my small common ska brain. Gosh, I wish I could be on the level of Noname.
We not greasy, no name inside, but the best rappers and radio niggas sound like they wearing adult diapers, and globalization scary and fucking is fantastic. And frankly, I find it funny that Morgan is still acting.
Like her flow is just so clean. And I also love all of the instrumental side of it too. Like all of her beats are so good. I feel like right now everyone's doing the thing that's like 808s and like, I mean, I love that stuff. I love hip hop that's like 808s and like, you know, like the rapping in triplets and stuff like that. But like Noname just has like this like, it's almost like jazz fusion in the background, like mixed with hip hop, and I really enjoy that she's doing that, and her cadence is much more like older hip hop than it is like the newer like 808 like, I guess, trap inspired. I don't know, like that whole trap era eventually led into like the sound that is now. So I never got into Mad Caddies. I was just a band that I could never get into. Never a huge fan of their stuff. When you're performing, does it bother you when people are constantly filming you with their phones instead of dancing and standing? I feel like that'll be a huge disconnect between you and the audience when they do that. Also. I mean, not really. I've come, especially because like I don't go, like I go to shows of all genres. Like I've gone to shows like to see hip hop shows before. I've gone to like punk shows, emo and stuff like that. And everyone just vibes different for different stuff. And that big thing that I've learned, especially like playing shows especially, where like there's days where like for Scouts Network or We Are the Union, we would play a show and like no one's moving and we're like, yo, why is this crowd so dead? But then like they come and they buy so much merch and I'm like, okay, well, one thing is a lot of people are just much older and a lot of people are just much older and they just are tired, like they don't want to move, which is totally fine. I don't know, everyone just has a different way of enjoying things. So at the end of the day, all I really care about is like if everyone's having a good time and feels safe. And sometimes I've been to shows where like people are moving a lot and I'm like, okay, like that's cool that you have that energy, but like I'm exhausted. Like I've been on tour for a month and people are like grabbing me and like throwing me in the pit. And it's like, yo, chill. Like don't touch people and grab people and force people to move if they don't want to. Like honestly, all I care about is if everyone's having a good time and feels comfortable. So, and I'm just thankful that people are there and paying money to see me perform. That's all I care about. So, Noname rapped on the Chance the Rapper track a few years ago, I think. I would believe that, honestly. How do you find out about ska shows? So when people talk about ska, I go on social media of, you know, said bands and stuff, and I follow them, and then they update their social media, and then, I don't know, that's how I found out about shows. That and I'm in, like, the ska Reddit and, like, ska groups online, and people just talk about that type of stuff. I feel like this is the best way, is like being engaged with like people, especially people on social media, because like bands, like trust me, like go on any band social media, they're gonna be constantly posting like we're playing here, like it happens to us all the time. We literally put money sponsoring posts, we post every day leading up to the show, and then the minute the show's done, people are always like, you were just playing in Connecticut? How did I not know? And I'm like, I don't know, how did you not know? We've been posting about it so much. We put hundreds of dollars into like sponsoring posts, but like I feel like it's typically people who just aren't keeping up with artists they like on social media, and that's just a huge part of it, keeping up with artists on social media, and you'll find out when they're playing. Like I'm off Facebook. A lot of people tell me they need Facebook to keep up with shows. I've been off Facebook for like since September, really. Like I go on sometimes to update stuff, but I'm really not dedicating time to that app anymore. I don't use Facebook event pages that much anymore, and I still find out about shows. So it's just, if you really care about it, you'll follow people and you'll find the ways, I guess. Yo, Noname is so good. If you haven't listened to Room 25, check it out. All right, going to number 19. Okay, so if I had to pick a number one for this list, which like picking number ones for me is hard, really, really hard to do. But if I had to pick a number one, it would be this. This was my most played band of this year and the most played record of this year, and it was by a huge margin. Like, this record came out on September 21st, 2018, and it is. This record is Tell No One by Bad Moves. So if you have not listened to the way I found out about Bad Moves is really interesting. I was watching the show Craig of the Creek, which is a Cartoon Network show, and there was an episode about like a band playing, but their neighbor was like, hey, like stop playing or I'm gonna call the cops. And they were like, well, we have a show that we have to do here. It's a house show, so where are we gonna do the show? And if you know anything about the show Craig of the Creek, it's about this kid named Craig, and he's like an elementary schooler, and he hangs out in this place called the Creek. It's like a creek that like all the neighborhood kids hang out in, and it's a super awesome show. It's super funny. The creator of the show loves ska music too, and that's super dope. Jeff Rosenstock makes the music for the show, and so on that episode, the band was called Bad Moves. It turns out they're a real band, which I'm surprised I never heard about this band until that, because this record is like incredible. This band is phenomenal, and they all used to play in different bands that are like that I have heard of. So I don't know how Bad Moves went over my radar like that. But yeah, this record is probably like my favorite record to come out like ever, maybe. It's really hard to say, but oh my goodness, Bad Moves slaps. This record is like incredible front to back. It's everything I love about music put into a record. Just discovered your channel recently, really love your stuff you put out. Glad to see someone as huge of a ska fan as myself. There's a lot of huge ska fans out there, actually, believe it or not. But thank you so much. Speaking of hip hop and ska, are there any bands doing that type of blend right now? Not really that I know of. Like I know there's like a few bands that did like there was Sonic Boom 6 from like the UK, and they did kind of like a hip hop ska thing. I never really got into that band, and there was like Mad Conductor, who they did like a trad ska, like reggae type thing mixed with hip hop. Excuse me, which again I never really got into. I don't really know any bands that have like really successfully mixed the two together. Unless you want to count like MC Lars doing This Gigantic Robot Kills, which featured like the singer of the Aquabats and Suburban Legends. I feel like that had to be a very like that's just a fusion that has to come to the artist. I feel like a lot of bands have tried forcing it, and it sounds really like weird and like corny. I've had ideas of doing covers that kind of mix the two, so we'll see maybe something like that coming up on this channel. Someone just texted me or messaged me something. Oh, what was your Spotify rap? Let me look that up real quick. Can I still look it up, or do I have to like... Oh, I think I can go on my web browser and pull it up. Spotify rap. Alright. My mouse is like not working. My Spotify rap for 2019. I guess I'll just read it off. Or I can like... Hold on, let me just do this. My mouse is like glitching out. Give me a second. Oh gosh. Okay. Oh my lord, please, mouse, I'm begging you. Why are you doing this right now? Alright. Go. Sweet. Alright, so here's my Spotify rap. Oh, let me pause this real quick. Are you gonna let me go? Yeah, I listened to Pieball a lot, I guess, in spring. Insignificant Other, I don't know what artist or band this is, honestly. I probably do, I just don't recognize their faces. And then Bad Moves. And then Summer. This is funny because, like, I was doing that counterintuitive cover record, so I listened to this song so much. And Mississippi definitely just gained the top on that. And then Gouge Away. And then Bad Moves again. And then The Fall. It's so funny because I was learning the Just Friends set because I played shows with Just Friends on trombone. And so they definitely took over Fall for me. In the Steven Universe movie, Just Friends again, and the Bruce Lee band. And then, of course, my number one was Bad Moves. I spent 18 hours listening to them. I don't know if that's like a high number or a low number. Cool Generator definitely is one of the best songs ever made. These are my top artists. Bad Moves at number 1. Just Friends at number 2. Also, I Wanna Love You by Just Friends is such a bop. Number 3 was the Bruce Lee Band. Number 4 was Insignificant Other. Number 5 was Illuminati Hotties. Heck yeah. Nothing but love and respect for my queen, Carly Rae Jepsen. I listened to artists from 33 different countries. I feel like that number's a little low, but whatever. I was genre fluid. Indie punk, definitely at my number 1. I don't know what indie soul really means. I'm surprised ska is that high, really, because I only listen to like 4 ska bands right now. Alternative emo and then hip hop. I'm surprised R&B and jazz isn't up there. I feel like that should be R&B and jazz, honestly. And then these are the songs that I listen to the most. Yeah, it's so much Bad Moves. I wasn't lying when I said it was like Bad Moves and then like Illuminati Hotties. What song was that? Shoulder It? Yeah. Premium since 2014. Yo. Oh wow, I never saw this page. You discovered 347 new artists this year. Did you really vibe with Illuminati Hotties? Yeah, so I did find them this year. You explored 22 of the songs, so through the record. It's been over 13 hours or so. Wow. Illuminati Hotties is so good. Oh, I guess you can do like, and since you've been together since 2012, why stop there? The 2010s wouldn't have been the same without you. Oh, interesting. Ooh, wow. Why did I listen to so much music in 2017? Oh, I was marching drum corps and traveling a lot that year. I think that's why 2017 was so high. Oh my goodness. Wow, I used to listen to so much different music back in the early side of the decade versus the later side. How do I see the rest of this? Oh, there we go. It's so funny because before I joined We Are the Union, I definitely like listened to them so much, and they're still like, I mean, you're about to see it. I listened to them so much in high school. They're still my band of the decade. Like, the amount of plays that I had in high school from We Are the Union still is higher than any other artist that I've listened to since then. Yeah, that's so weird. And like the same thing, like I haven't listened to Less Than Jake like actively since like 2016, but I listened to them so much in high school. They still are in my, like, they're still my number 2. And then Roswell Kid, like I used to listen to them a lot in like 2015, but I haven't listened to them that much lately, and they're high up there. And I can still believe these two being up there. And then like all of the top songs are literally all We Are the Union, and then it's variations of an aria by Really From. So that's super interesting that I listened to that one song so much. And then these are my top of the decade. So there it is, my Spotify Wrapped. Oh Jesus. Going back full screen. We back, baby. All right. I might as well just play the next song on this list. All right. So, where did we stop at? Bad Moves? September 28th, 2018. Number 20 on this list. This record, Burnt Sugar by Gouge Away, came out. And I talked about Gouge Away earlier in the feed. And I love this band so much. Also, Christina's like one of my best friends. Saw them at Warped Tour 2005. What are you talking about? Oh, it might have been, what's it called? A lot has happened in this chat since I last checked it. I'm in Florida too. I'm still stuck on Rancid and Goldfinger. So many good bands have come out since Rancid and Goldfinger had their prime, so I would definitely check out all of the new bands that have been coming out. Nothing wrong with that. Did we get into Suicide Machine? Was that directed towards me? Oh, y'all are talking to each other in the chat. Okay, I see what's happening now. Have you heard the Holophonic ska covers? They did all the saves today and What You Are. Yeah, I mean, I played a show with the Holophonics like in 2014 or so, and I know Eric, the person who runs it. Yeah, I've known the Holophonics for years. So this is Only Friend by Gouge Away. It's the opening track to their latest LP, Burnt Sugar. And this record is so good. So Gouge Away used to be just straight up a hardcore band. They're also from Fort Lauderdale, which is like where I'm from. I'm from Broward County. So I've seen this band since like literal day one. Like I was at definitely one of their first shows. Thank you so much. Cosmic Thrill Seekers is so good. I mean, like, I literally have the flag back there. I don't know how much of the flag you can see. Yeah, you can see almost all of it. Yeah, Cosmic Thrill Seekers is such an incredible record. But anyway, this thing that I'm listening to right now, Gouge Away. They're from South Florida, where I'm from. Christina's like a really good friend of mine that I listen to. I've listened to her band and seen her and been friends with her for so long. And it was wild because this band put out a record called Guys before this, and they almost died as a band before like they put out that record. And now they're killing it, and they're huge, and they're on Death Wish. So it's really cool watching them get the glow up they deserve, because like in South Florida, a lot of bands didn't vibe with them because I don't know, it was whack. But I'm glad that they're killing it now. Definitely well deserved. Number 21 on this list. One of the most anticipated records, I think, to come up on this list, because I feel like a lot of people put this as one of the, definitely the record of the year, if not one of the records of the decade for a lot of people. Let me tell you how PUP is so good. So when this record first came out, I remember listening to it and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I listened to it a few other times since then and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then somewhere out of nowhere, I think it's like I saw PUP live and then it clicked for me. And like, this is one of my favorite records now. And I don't have to tell y'all that. Morbid Stuff is so good. I know you're from Broward. Yep, I'm from Pembroke Pines, Florida. Yeah, I know. It's really disheartening. I mean, if you ever went to the Talent Farm, it's any ska shows, because I used to work at the Talent Farm. This is some real Broward shit. If you ever went to any ska shows at the Talent Farm, one, my band was playing, or another band that I was in was playing. Two, I literally booked all of those shows. So like any ska show from the Talent Farm 2011 forward, I was part of the booking of that through 2014. And yeah, Broward ska was incredible, and then it like died off, and it really is sad that like South Florida used to be like the spot. There were so many great ska bands, and a lot of people just moved away, and yeah, I don't know. It's just such a shame that Broward used to be so on top with that, and now it's not. What can you do? It doesn't help that a lot of the South Florida ska bands are very like a lot. I don't know how to say this. I guess I'll just go back to this. When I was in high school, I was booking shows, and I'd always like want to book Miami bands, like bring them to Broward, and like, yo, we have such like an active ska scene out here, and like this would be a great way. And like, I don't know, it's like I'm like 15 years old trying to book this show, and like these bands are just like, well, we want to get paid $500 to play this, and I'm like, first off, you're from Miami, like, why are you asking for that much money? Second off, I'm 15 booking a DIY show, like, where do you think this money's coming from? Like, straight up, I don't know. And it's just like the bands there weren't really great at like getting like younger people involved. Like, all they ever wanted to do were play like shitty bars and shit like that, which is like fine, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, there's just no scene. There wasn't a scene in Miami. It was just a bunch of old like drunk dudes like that like treated like the younger people like shit. And like, I'm just gonna be honest, it was really annoying. Oh yeah, people in Broward can't drive. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. I love Broward County, but oh my goodness, I do not miss living down there. A lot of it has to do with how people drive. Yo, Fresh is so good. PUP takes the best bands on tour. If you want to find any good bands, just go find a PUP tour flyer and then find what bands they were touring with, and there you go. You find incredible bands. PUP really mastered how to make really, really tasty riffs and morbid stuff. I feel like Morbid Stuff is a record that really took what makes PUP good and they like isolated it. Because a lot of bands will like isolate certain aspects of previous records and they isolate the bad things, but PUP did all of the good things, like their catchiness, how the songs are structured, stuff like that. Just like everything that makes PUP PUP, and they were able to improve upon that. Oh my goodness. All right. So April 17th, 2019, this record came out. I'm So Glad I Feel This Way About You by Insignificant Other. And this record, so good. So good. First off, Sim's just one of my best friends ever. You've seen my cover of January 10th, 2014, or Emotion, or the Sailor Moon theme. And I think there's Mitski, Nobody by Mitski. All of those is my friend Sim, and this is their actual band, Insignificant Other, and it's so incredible. I know I'm saying that about like every record on this list, but I mean, it is my top 25, so every record is incredible. Straight up, this song is just one of the best hooks. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Like, this is another band that's gonna put out a really solid second LP. They're gonna go on a good tour, and then everyone's gonna be talking about this band. A lot of people already are talking about it, and I'm surprised not more people are talking about them. Honestly, I don't really care for the Beatles. Also, like, John Lennon was like a misogynistic and homophobic person. So I just really don't care to cover the Beatles. That's just my take. The music just like every time I listen to the Beatles, I'm just like really bored. The music's so boring. Mexico has a better ska scene than the US in my opinion. UK, Mexico, and then the US. I mean, music's not a competition, so I'm not really gonna be like, oh yeah, this place is a better scene, because like, one, music is subjective. I guess the one thing you can say is people in America suck at going and supporting new bands, which is absolutely true, which makes the scene like kind of like not as good as, like, I know people like in the UK, they love going out to support bands. People in Mexico love going out to, like, pretty much everywhere but the US, people really love going out to support bands. But also, to be fair, in America, it's really hard to just exist and like we live in a society in which you have to pay so much money just to like eat and live. So I kind of don't blame people. Like, yeah, if I had free healthcare and I have to worry about the idea if I get a cough, I can possibly not be able to afford to go to the hospital, then yeah, I'll take my extra money and go out to see a band. But in America, it's like, oof, I don't even know if I'm gonna have money to eat next week. Like, why am I gonna go see a band? So I will give the benefit of the doubt to the American scene for having to deal with more bullshit than what they have to deal with elsewhere. I don't know about Mexico in that regard, but yeah, so I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of moving parts to that, but also people in America can be doing better as far as supporting bands. What's it called? Jeremy, in your opinion, who do you think is Florida's best ska band? I've heard some people say Magic Dog, but Less Than Jake is probably the most well-known. Don't ever mistake the most well-known for the best. That is literally no correlation to that whatsoever. Florida's best ska band. I don't know. Oh, gosh. There was a band called the Spit Valves that was from Orlando, and I loved the Spit Valves. They were super, super dope. I don't know if it's like a nostalgia really hitting heavy for me, but there were a lot of South Florida ska bands that really were hitting hard. Like, there was one called The Scandals, and like I was actually showing my friend this SoundCloud recording of one song that they had by The Scandals, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, no, this still holds up as really tight. And there was another band called The Strikeouts that I really loved from Boca, and listening to it later, I'm like, this is kind of corny, but like it still holds up really well. Florida had a lot of really good bands. And there's like UNRB was also really tight. I like them. Yo, General Child's Fury, or General Soul's Fury. Gosh, I never really learned how to pronounce it, but they're really dope. Also another really tight band. Florida had a lot of really good ska bands. It's really sad, like the state of ska right now in Florida. It's very like stagnant and not a lot's going on. There's a few bands that are gigging here and there, but like there's no DIY community aspect to the ska scene in Florida. It's just a lot of bands that just play bars and stuff like that. So like there's not much going on. But like I feel like when Florida, or just ska in general, figures out that like, yo, we need like a scene and like connection and community in music, then it'll pop off again. And I think that's the biggest thing that's been missing. And like that's why what like Kill Lincoln is doing with Bad Time Records is so important, because like good music definitely, good scenes definitely come from like, you know, people having a scene. That's where like good like scenes as far as like third wave ska was huge. It's like, well, it's huge because you have bands like Asian Man Records signing really good bands and like creating a community of that type of stuff. And like, you know, it's like emo popped off in the 2000s or the 2010s, but it's like, yeah, Top Shelf Records like holding the fort down and creating that network of bands. And it's like, we don't have that in ska right now. I think that's the biggest thing that's killing new ska bands and making it hard. It also doesn't help that like ska people historically typically don't ever want to check out younger bands and newer bands. They really like, I see it happen in every scene. Like there's always pop punk people that only like old pop punk. There's always like emo people that like old emo. But I feel like the divide is the worst for ska as far as like bigger ska bands that are older. People love it, but they like refuse to listen to newer bands. So I feel like that's like the biggest issue with like Florida ska, but also ska in general. Yeah, Gainesville doesn't really have a lot of ska shows going on in general. Gainesville could definitely be doing better. Just the way it is. Alright, since this song is starting to end, I'm gonna go to my next song on this list. Or next record on this list. Yo, this record is so good. It's another piece of proof that pop music is killing right now. Number 23 on this list. We only have 2 more records left of this top 25. This is "Cause I Love You" by Lizzo, and Lizzo's just killing it. I've learned recently that there's a lot of hate for Lizzo, which I don't get. I mean, I kind of get, because like people really love their artists that aren't like skinny white dudes, skinny white women. That's just like truth. But Lizzo's killing it. Lizzo's very loud about like being like, yeah, I'm the shit. Like, look at me, I'm the shit. And I feel like people get really angry because like they're like, one, they're probably like fat phobic, and 2, they're also really angry that someone who isn't their idea of beautiful is so confident when them themselves aren't confident about themselves the way Lizzo is. So like I feel like they get really upset at Lizzo's existence just for that, and Lizzo doesn't give a fuck. And Lizzo makes music that slaps. Like this is straight up like a slap, and like this is just a disco track that slaps. Like I've never like not listened to I've never listened to Lizzo and not wanted to like shake my ass. It's just the truth. Like this has just become a Lizzo stan feed. It's just me dancing to Lizzo for the next hour. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna end this feed soon because I only have 2 more bands to talk about, and I'm getting hungry. I've been feeding for like, how long have I been feeding? Does it tell me? It doesn't say here. Yeah, it's a shame that Scott disappeared. The thing is, like, Scott didn't really, like, disappear. It's just people stopped focusing on it. Like, people in the ska community really stopped focusing on it. And, like, the best proof I can give of this, go to the ska Reddit, go on a ska Facebook, go to any group of people who like ska on the internet, and, like, especially Reddit. Reddit's a great example. Look at all the posts. Look at how many upvotes it is. Now, like, let's make our drinking game. Take a shot every time you see a band that's mentioned that formed 20 years ago or more, or before 2002. Take a shot when it's one of the big ska records that everyone knows and listens to is being posted. It's just like you have alcohol poisoning at that point. And it's like, there's so many great bands that are killing it now. It's like Bad Time Records. You ask what label should you support. Bad Time Records, which is put on by Kill Lincoln. A record label which in 2018 or 2019 alone, they put out Catbite, which is like a great band. Which is, speaking of Catbite, they're number 24 on this list of top 25 records. Good segue. They put out Catbite this year. They put out, what's that band called? Omnigon, that's it, Omnigon, which is like one of the past members of Blink-80, the guitarist Adam. It's his new band. They put out Thirsty Guys, which is members of The Best of the Worst. They put out a 4th record, I can't remember. And then they have plans to put out Grey Matter next year. I believe Kill Lincoln's recording an LP next year. And then they did the Shape of Ska Punk to Come, which is a compilation. The Shape of Ska Punk. Yeah, a compilation that they put out of just great bands that are killing it right now, like Jay Navarro from Suicide Machines, his other band, Joystick, No Such Noise, Stuck Lucky, SMN, The Best of the Worst, The Matamosca, Free Kick, The Upfucks, The Fads, Still Alive, and there's so many more bands on top of that that are all killing it and doing the thing. So it's like, ska never went anywhere. A lot of those bands have been active for so long, and I say this all the time, but I feel like I have to keep saying it. People keep thinking ska's dead, and it's like gone. It's like, it's not. It's literally like, you just gotta support the new bands. But yeah, so definitely Bad Time Records is like the label that everyone should be supporting. I feel like that's a label that needs to be at the stable point where, like, if you say you listen to ska and you don't listen to Bad Time Records, then like, that just should be a sin. Like Hellcat Records, like, and like, I feel like when you say like Hellcat Records, like, give me a second. I'm gonna look up Hellcat Records bands, and that just feeds into the problem. It's like, on Hellcat Records, like, let's play a drinking game. Take a shot of any band that formed before 15 years ago on Hellcat Records. Rancid, take a shot. Dropkick Murphys, take a shot. Transplants, take a shot. Operation Ivy, take a shot. Left Alone, take a shot. Tiger Army, take a shot. The Slackers, take a shot. The Distillers, take a shot. The Agrolites, take a shot. This is the problem with ska. Everyone keeps supporting these big labels and big artists, and it's like, yeah, obviously you can support them, that's totally fine, but like, that's all the ska scene focuses on. And it's like people ask for recommendations for bands and they just list old bands, and like, this is like, if y'all want ska to come back, quote unquote come back, we need to stop only focusing on older bands. And as long as that's like the main focus, and that's like when people ask for new bands, all they're saying is like, listen to this old band that formed 20 years ago, like Rancid. I bet you've never heard of Rancid. Like, literally, like, if you keep doing that, we're not gonna see a spike in the popularity for new bands. And it's really unfortunate because, like, especially playing in a band in 2019, sorry, I'm just going on a rant now, but it's really, really unfortunate because, like, playing in a band in 2019 is, like, not easy. It's expensive to tour. Like, going on tour in the 90s was, I mean, obviously there were other challenges of touring in the 90s and the 2000s, but, like, right now the cost of living is so high, and the minimum wage to cost of living, like, gap is the biggest it's ever been. And it's just hard to tour. So it's like bands now more than ever need people going out and going to shows and, like, buying their merch and supporting them in that way. And it's like no one's doing that for new bands. And there's a reason why bands form, like Chase Long Beach and, like, ASOB, and all these bands eventually just fizzle away because, like, they can't afford to keep doing that. And it's like, I don't know, there's been bands out there that have gone on so many tours with, like, Real Big Fish, and, like, Real Big Fish fans still don't know who they are. And it's like, how has this band toured with, like, the band that you see every time they come through, and yet you don't know who they are? Like, are you just focusing on Real Big Fish that much, or you don't know any other bands that they've been touring with? Like, and shout outs to Real Big Fish for being the only ska band over the last, like, 10 years to constantly take new ska bands on tour with them. Because, like, someone named me the last time Less Than Jake went on tour with a ska band. I can name the last time. It was Real Big Fish in 2013. And, like, that's, like, another huge problem. Like, all these older bands not taking new bands on tour. I don't know. It's just really whack. Anyway, in rant. This band, I don't know if what you're saying, Catfight, is their name, question mark, but the band playing right now is Catbite. Unless you're talking about something else, I'm not sure. This band playing is number 24 on my list of 25 most solid records of the decade, and this is Catbite. They put out their self-titled and debut record called Catbite, and if you haven't been listening to Catbite, you're like, honestly, they're just the best ska band to come out the last 10 years. Like, I'll fight anyone on this argument. Like, they approach it more from the two-tone style, kind of has this, like, rockabilly vibe. Every song just hits really hard and sounds really good. Actually, it's the total opposite. Bands are going independent now because they need money. Because here's a little secret. Labels steal from bands, and they're not practical anymore. There are 3 things that a label should be doing for a band. The first thing is giving them money. Which labels aren't doing anymore as much as they used to. Like, there are a few bands getting signed to, have money, but it's like, most bands will record the record and then the label will put it out. And it's like, these bands are paying for their own recordings. So, okay, so give them money. Distro music. So let's go take a trip back to the 90s. If you're playing in a band, if your music wasn't distroed through a label, there's only one way someone could find out about your music. And that was if you were on tour and they saw you. And so that's a huge thing to be on a label, because labels can get your music into CD stores, into record stores. Labels will get your name into magazines that people read to find new music. And that was super important. But we're in 2019. Why would you make that the only way? Like, why would you sign to a label that's not giving you money and then taking your streaming royalties, like a lot of your streaming, don't get me started on how labels steal streaming royalties. But why would you sign to a label that distros your stuff where you can pay $20 to get all of your music distroed onto all streaming platforms? You can go into groups online and then post your stuff, or you can just pay money to then sponsor posts on social media to reach your stuff out there. So labels destroying your stuff, like, really doesn't matter, because no one's going to record stores in 2019 trying to find new music. No one's doing that. And then the third thing that they're supposed to do for you is, let's see, give you money, distro. Gosh, what was the third thing? It's blanking on me. I think it might be 2 things. I used to talk about this a lot, and I used to say 3 things, but those are the only 2 that I think of right now. But yeah, labels are, like, really obsolete, and I can't wait for musicians to realize that, like, they're better off not on labels. Like, We're the Union, we put out a record ourselves, and it's our best performing record so far. We've grown so much because of that, and we make 100% of all of the profit back because no one else owns the rights to our music, and it's working successful, like, way successful for us. And when bands are at the level, especially We're the Union is at, we're making a lot more money than a band that's a lot bigger than us is, but they're signed to a label that's taking all of their money from them. And if you believe the myth that streaming platforms don't pay, they do, the labels don't pay, and those bands are just dumb and don't read their contracts / don't know how much the labels are stealing from them, and they're not making their streaming royalties back. Because I'm not gonna sit here and say how much money I've made through streaming royalties off of Spotify, but I can guarantee that these bands that have millions of streams per song saying they don't get paid, something's fishy about that. Something's very fishy about that. It'd be cool if the radio played hip shit. The thing is, no one listens to the radio anymore. If you're trying to reach new people, that's another thing. People in the world of bands and music are so fixed on the idea of like, we need to be on the radio. It's like, literally no one listens to the radio anymore. If you want to be a band and be successful, you need to be where the youth and where the trends are happening. If you want to be a successful band, you need to be on TikTok. Your music needs to be on TikTok. Your music needs to be on like social media apps that are popular right now. Like, that's the way that bands in the future are going to take off. And like, prime example, the story so far on Tumblr in 2011. They became huge because they became huge on Tumblr, which was like the biggest app at the time. And it's like, if y'all, like, people keep focusing on like, we need to be on a label to be big. And it's like, no, you don't. There's a reason why so many bands get signed to labels and then they just fizzle away. And like, there's so many bands that aren't on labels that are doing super well. And there are so many bands that are just up to the time. TikTok is an app where you like make videos, and the cool thing about the app is like you can have music to your videos, or you can save music from other videos that you see that you like. Gosh, I'm like so surprised that people still don't know what TikTok is. TikTok's like my favorite app right now. It's so much like, yo, Facebook sucks, Instagram whack. I'm like honestly so ready to delete Instagram. It's really pissing me off lately. If you don't want to care about TikTok, that sucks. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but it's a dope app. I just don't want to care about Facebook, so I don't. Facebook fucking sucks. The TikToks are always great. Thank you so much. Alright, I guess I might as well start queuing up the... Wow, 4 songs played on this since I started ranting? Alright, anyway. Last record on this list of 25 records that I love dearly. This last one is by a band called Slingshot Dakota, Heavy Banding, and it came out this year on May... Was it May? Was it June? Let me pull up this list again. May 24th, 2019. And if you don't know anything about Slingshot Dakota, first off, they're an incredible band. It's Carly Commando and Tom Patterson, just the two of them. They're married. It's the cutest shit in the world. And Carly plays keys and Tom plays drums, and that's like it. It's just the two of them. They used to be a 3-piece. They used to have a guitar, and they eventually just ditched the guitar. And Carly has this like wild setup where she just runs, she runs what's it called? Like her piano through like pedals, and like if you ever see them live, it just sounds so massive. Tom's such like a powerful drummer, and like it's just like life changing. If you ever see Slingshot Dakota touring near you, go check them out for sure. And go talk to them and tell them that you found out about seeing them through this feed, and then Carly will be like, yeah, it's super cute. It's so awesome. I love this band so much. Gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say next. Oh, I was going to answer this question. When are the sweatshirts shipping out? So the sweatshirts just got to California, where they shipped out from, 2 days ago. And so basically they're all going to be shipping out within the week. It's just like a busy time of year. And all my stuff ships out. My friend Jessica ships everything out from California. So that's, yeah, they're going to be shipping out soon over the next week. Heck yeah, you finally caught a stream. The merch store is linked in the description of all of my videos. It's just Scott2Network.bigcartel.com. I guess I can type it in too. Like literally seeing them live, it sounds this full and it's just keys and drums, but this sounds like a whole thing. I loved it so much. Potential to play the lick. I don't even have an instrument I can play the lick on right now, besides like the sax, but I'm not like warmed up and I don't want to like do that to my face. It gets way more difficult to make friends when you're over your 20s. I wouldn't say that because I've been making a lot of friends lately who are in their like late 30s and early 40s through music. I think people just get wrapped in this like weird mindset that America like drills into your head that like once you graduate college, you have your 20s for a little bit and then you settle into like this dead-end job. And people think that like you can't do anything once you get older. And like everyone that I've met, cause like everyone in We Are the Union, my band, like I'm 24. But everyone in We Are the Union is like between the ages of 32 and 35. And so like especially playing shows with We Are the Union, I'm playing with all of these bands that are like their age and older. So like between the ages like 35 and 40. And like I'm still meeting people that are like that old and like they still go out to shows and they still like support bands and like I don't know, they just are chill people and I make friends with them and like they're always constantly making friends. So like I think it's just like getting out of like the mindset that like, oh, like 30, I'm old. And it's like 30 literally is not old. Like, I mean, it's like the only thing that I feel about getting older, and this is coming from like me being 24 and teaching kids that are like 18, is like they just don't remember things that I remember. Like they don't remember like the early 2000s because like some of the kids I teach were born in 2005. They literally can't remember the early 2000s because they weren't alive. But other than that, like I don't really feel much different. Like I feel like I don't know, like I'm very hip to like new social media and stuff like that. Like I'm really big onto Discord, Twitch, and TikTok right now, and like I don't know, it's all fine to me. And like a lot of people I know are like, oh, I'm just so old, I don't get it. I'm like, homie, you're 22 and I'm 24 and I get it. And I have friends who are 32 on TikTok and they get it. Like it's not an age thing. You just need to like use new things and do things that are new, like, and you'll get it. Like that's just my take. Also, we have the internet now. I make a lot of my friends through the internet, and I feel like that's like a dope way to actually make friends. Playing it, this is the song Blood Villain by Slingshot Dakota off of their record Heavy Banding, which is this is the last of the top 25 lists I've been listing off throughout this stream of records that came out this year. Slingshot Dakota is one of my favorite bands. They're so good. Also, hold on, I'm gonna pull up a video. So Carly, the singer and pianist of this band. So if you go on YouTube, I'm gonna do this real quick. And I'm gonna pause this real quick. So if you go on YouTube, so this is Carly Commando. She's the singer of this, of what's it called? Of that band, and she plays piano. And she made the song to this viral video. Oh my god, please. So this video went viral like obviously years ago, August 27th, 2006. So Carly wrote this song. And this is like the video of like this person just takes a picture of himself every day for 6 years. I feel like if you were on the internet at all in like the 2000s, before 2010, you've definitely seen this video. And I mean, it's been referenced so much in pop culture. So like, it's definitely a huge, what's it called? What did that comment say? Started before YouTube existed. That's so funny. He did start doing this. How old is that comment? 3 years. Interesting. Yeah. So anyway, Carly Commando wrote that. And it's so funny because if you search like her name Every Day by Carly Commando, 5.7 million views. Like, it's like there's piano tutorials on how to play it. And like people love that song. I think The Simpsons did Simpsons Carly Commando. That's so funny. Yeah, so her song was also featured in The Simpsons. Yeah, they did like it was like a bit, like a play on that video. So, and this is like further proof that like, you know, Carly literally technically hasn't it was an Emmy or a Grammy, whichever one. I think Grammys are music, Emmys is movies or film or whatever. I don't know my award, sorry, but this episode got an award. So Carly technically has a award for this, and it's like people still don't know like Slingshot Dakota. So it's proof that like you don't like being in something that's big is not equated to like people being famous. I feel like people think like, oh, if this band is in this movie, then they're gonna become big because like that's what happened with like Real Big Fish. But like that's so funny. That's not like the truth. And behind that, like people like you being a musician is so confusing. I'm not even sure how to like word what I'm trying to say. Oh my goodness. Thank you for bearing with my stammering. I'm so hungry. I'm probably gonna end this feed soon. But yeah, Carly kills it and makes incredible music, but like people only focus on like, you know, this one big thing. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like, don't mistake being big and going viral once with like, with how people view musicians. I feel like that's what happens a lot in ska music. Like people will look at a ska band and think like, oh, they're on a big tour, they must be a big band. And it's like, just because you're on a big tour doesn't mean you're a big band. And I don't know, music is just so complicated and people are so complicated with that type of stuff. But you should be listening to Slingshot Dakota because they're an incredible band. Carly's an incredible human being. And yeah. We have hit the singularity. That's so funny. Greetings from people gotta stop doing that. I don't know what people are doing, but sorry. I see these comments after, and not anymore. Be small. I mean, like being small is cool, but also at the same time, we live in a society where like you just don't have time to do anything but work. So like, especially me being a musician, it's like I just can't afford to be small. If I was small, like I wouldn't be able to make music. So like there has to be a median. It's like bands don't even have to be huge. They just need like the support. And it's like there are so many people that throw so much support. Like a prime example is when We Are the Union went on tour with Real Big Fish, and like people would come up to our merch table and they will be holding like $200 worth of Real Big Fish merch, and then they'll talk like, yeah, I've seen Real Big Fish like every time they've come through this town since like, I don't know, 1994, and like every time I buy like all their merch, and then they're like, I loved you guys when you were opening, but like I just don't have the money to like even buy a shirt from you. And it's like, you're holding $200 Real Big Fish merch. I know, because we do merch with like we see their merch every night, and you're holding like this bowling shirt and this like hoodie and like 3 shirts and 4 records, like literally cost over $200, but you don't have money to support an opening band that you like. And it's like, we get paid barely enough to break even. Like we have to sell X amount of merch to break even. Real Big Fish gets paid salary. So it's like you have this idea of supporting bands, but you're throwing money at this band that is so well off, and you're not supporting this small band that like is scraping to get by financially. So it's like, and that's like where the issue lies a lot with a lot of things. It's like, yeah. Say hello to Japan. Hello, Japan. Or as they say, what time is it in Japan? It's like what? 8 or 9 a.m.? So I guess I should say Ohio, Genki desu ka, to anyone who is watching in Japan. I marched drum corps with people from Japan, so they taught me how to speak Japanese. So I can say some stuff like Watashi no Nihongo skoshi hanasemasu, which means I speak a little Japanese. I used to be able to do like small talk and stuff like that. Have you heard any of Scott's new music? The guy who left Real Big Fish. Yeah, I mean, I actually like know Scott. We played together with Boldfinger at Thanksgiving, and I may or may not be doing some music with Scott coming up in the future, which is really cool. Also, I love this song. The song's called Louder by Slingshot Dakota. And this song's basically about... Slingshot Dakota's an older band. They've been a band since, like, the mid-2000s. Like, Carly formed this band when she was in college, I believe. And she's right now 35-ish or so. And so she's been out of college since like the early 2000s. And this band has been going since like the early 2000s. And that song Louder is basically about how the music industry has like really like more or less fucked over Slingshot Dakota in a lot of ways. And I don't know, a lot of people like, she's always been saying things since like the late 2010s, like, yo, like, why are these tours like all white dudes? We need more diversity on these tours. And then like booking agencies would just go ahead and be like, all right, Slingshot Dakota is blacklisted. No, none of our bands are allowed to share their stuff anymore. None of our bands are allowed to like tour with them and stuff like that. And it's like, yo, that's really whack that like y'all literally are blacklisting this hardworking band because you don't like the fact that they're calling y'all out on your bullshit. And so that song Louder is basically like Slingshot Dakota has gotten to a point where they're just like, we're just going to make music because we love making music and it's working for us being successful and working for ourselves and not being on a label that's like, you know, whatever. So they're doing well as a band and it's like, we're just going to keep growing and like doing what we love and touring with our friends instead of doing all this convoluted, backwards, shady music industry shit and becoming louder and growing bigger and bigger to the point where these bigger labels can't ignore us. And that's kind of where I'm at as a musician too. Like, I can go on a rant about how jaded I am about like the music industry and like bigger bands won't take smaller bands on tour and stuff like that. And I don't know, I feel like people always make this end all goal where it's like, oh, it'd be the end all goal to like to tour with like Streetlight Manifesto. And it's like, nah, I would much rather just build my own brand and do my own shows and build my own scene and then get to the point where like we're doing really well. And it's to the point where like you can't ignore the fact that like these new bands are killing it because we've cultivated our own scene. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of ska, it's really disheartening, but a lot of ska feels like bands compete with each other. And it's like, you shouldn't be competing with each other. We all should be working with each other, but it feels like there's a lot of competition going on. It's just really annoying. And I guess that's a note of where I'll leave this stream off. So thank y'all for chilling with me on this stream that's been going for I don't know how long. It's like dark out. It was not dark out before. It's almost 8 o'clock. I think I started this stream like 2.5, maybe 3 hours ago. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Once again, if you did not know, I'm on Twitch and I'm gonna start streaming more on Twitch, which is linked and which is what's it called? Linked in all of my videos. New thing I'm on. It's just Scott2Network, twitch.tv/Scott2 Network. So if you like the streams, I do like a lot of live songwriting on these streams and stuff like that. So yeah, come follow me on Twitch if that's a thing you're into. And if you're not, try something new. Make a Twitch account, start following artists and things you like. The breakdown on Bad Guy was sick. Thank you. It's very literally a Flaming Tsunami's ripoff. Now you could tour with Nice again. It's good that they spoke up. With Nice again? MCR? I think you meant MCR. Now you can tour with MCR again. That's where I'm ending the stream anyway. So thanks for streaming or watching me stream. I am dying. I'm so hungry right now. But yeah. See y'all later. Bye.